AI has a place probably in every single business. From a business owning point of view, when you're creating systems, you can't create a system quicker than ChatGPT can create the system for you. There's a saying, when you pay attention.
Hello,
We
Tim.
are live. Hi, how are you, Zach?
Doing well. How are you?
Life is good. Life is good.
I see you have a new hoodie. Congratulations on
Yeah, it's the debut.
that. Nice.
Weather's starting to get a little chilly.
This is going to be an auto episode. I'm excited about this because cars are pretty cool.
I like cars.
I've owned my dream car for 15 years.
The dream is still a dream.
Yeah, I'm not going to buy a new car when it's still the same car. Like, I'd buy the same thing and it's basically the same thing. So
as long as it doesn't turn into a nightmare, we're good.
Exactly. Have a Jeep Wrangler, works great, passed inspection, rock and roll. It's not European, at least I don't think it is. But yeah, your favorite car of all time?
I mean, we're driving them, but I mean that
Yes.
At one point, I mean, like the whole going way back, when I was in the Air Force in Germany, the whole goal was to buy a BMW when we were in Germany and bring it back home, and that was exactly what we did. So,
in a plane, or do they go?
Well,
do they go on a plane, or they go on a boat?
On a boat.
There you go.
Yeah, and drove the wheels off of that thing for a long time.
That is a true statement. But today we are delighted to have Eric Svedberg. As a former journalist, I should have asked you how to pronounce your last name first. Did I do it right? Or just reading it?
Great.
Or am I terrible?
No, you did great.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me.
We have the hard-hitting questions here. What's your favorite car of all time, Eric?
Well, my first vehicle is one of my favorites. Was a 1968 Ford Bronco that I kind of built from the ground up and drove to Kempsville High School back in 1988, 1989. So
Wow.
That was a fun one.
Always been a car guy then, huh?
Yeah, going way back.
I feel like the internet teaches you a lot now. You can watch YouTube University on how to get better at cars and stuff like that. Did you have a mechanic that helped you along the way? Did you just teach yourself? Like how were you able to teach yourself to be good with cars way back then?
Well, I think if you're in the service-based industry, like automotive, and it's something you love, you're kind of born with that. You're mechanically inclined. So I was always self-taught, but I could teach myself several ways. I could watch someone and learn. I could read something and learn, or just take it apart myself and put it back together and learn. Plus, my dad's a mechanical engineer, so maybe it's in my genes.
Yeah. Man, they always make it look so easy on YouTube.
I like telling the story that, my uncle and my dad being brothers, and my dad's a mechanical engineer, and I love my uncle to death. He's in sales, but I don't think he could hardly operate a screwdriver. So it is definitely something that's in the genes.
It's like it's like you watch a fishing show on television and they're just reeling them in one after another. On YouTube, you check out how to fix your car and they're done in 5 minutes, and then typically not the case when I take on a project. And that's when I seek out someone like yourself to help with the process, because man, time is money.
The shows probably have a lot of editing. So all the busted knuckles and broken bolts, they probably edited it out.
Oh yeah, for sure. Man, does that
there's always a dishwasher, or your washing machine seems to be such an easy fix, and then you start taking it apart and you're like, why are there 17 different sizes of screws that are just barely different? You're like, what is this all about? Like, what are we doing here? So
kind of like way back when domestic cars were all standard, and then metric came, and then all the technicians were like, what do you mean I have to buy all these new sockets and wrenches? And now there's 2 or 3 different types of torques, where you just had to have one way back when. So the tools are never ending. So we always think there's a conspiracy somewhere for either with Snap-on tools or something like that, where you just constantly have to buy new tools.
Kind of like college textbooks. Keep on updating them.
True that.
Well, it sounds like any kind of hardware company's dongles, right? So you got like your Apple that likes to come out. They've come out with like 17 different cables at this point over 2 years. And you're like, well, what are we doing here? And you got to buy all of them for 17 different devices. I mean, it's crazy. So it's interesting. I've never thought about that in the mechanic or tool world.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm not sure if it's as common in other trades, electrical and plumbing and stuff like that, but definitely in the automotive world, there's a lot of tools, a lot of specialty tools, a lot of one-offs. So you need one set. That set might run $800, $1,500, sometimes $3,000 to set up one thing, like timing chains on a certain car. So.
Yeah, I'm just, I was looking at the comments that we had. Yeah, what is a textbook? Yeah, and I think that now the whole deal is, they license the textbooks online, which is at least that's what my kids are doing.
Same price? Are they still hundreds of dollars per textbook?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that whole thing's a racket.
So what you're saying is when they tell you $18,000 is the in-state price tuition, that's just like 40%. The housing and the textbooks are the other 60%.
Oh man, I mean everyone, and they got it all on lock. Like all the landlords, they're all. I mean, I have no proof of this, but they're all in cahoots with one another in terms of what the going rate is, in terms of locking in the perfect price.
Wait, so you don't think that the robots, you could say, hey, here's the book. I'm looking for this chapter. Can you pull it out and give me a synopsis? You don't think the robots can do that at this point? I mean, they got to be able to do that.
Oh, I mean,
it can do that.
I'm sure that they can do that 100%, but in terms of like, I don't know, it's been a long time since I've taken a class, to see how they're using the digital textbooks, I don't know.
Are you asking Zach whether you would have to then purchase the book, or do you purchase the book, upload it into ChatGPT, which can do this, and then you ask ChatGPT questions about the book?
Well, I'm hoping to remove the financial commitment if possible. And I would think that somewhere in that LLM, it's got some sort of like textbook in there. It's got to have it. It's got to be able to do that somehow.
I mean, it's just.
I mean, if Virginia Beach High School is all on a Chromebook, I mean, you would think colleges would all go digital. I mean, are your kids, Tim, still buying textbooks?
No,
in college?
it's all digital, and you get the license, and then so I'm sure that from a licensing standpoint, they got it on lock. I mean, I suppose, I don't know. It'll be interesting. I have no idea.
They're making more money because then they don't have the printing charge.
Oh, I'm sure the profit margins are much, much higher.
Yeah, much better margins.
That was always such an interesting day. First day of school, you go and you spend $1,000 on books. You read 4 pages of them.
Right.
Yeah, at the end of school, you then return them and get some portion of that back. I always took that money for, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night festivities. Huh? Right. But then, think about that now. I mean, my senior year of school, I didn't buy books and I had my best year ever. So, I mean, maybe there's something to be said about that. Books.
Or you go and buy the used textbook and you pray and hope that someone used a highlighter.
That's right.
So therefore you could just use all their notes.
I mean, to buy a $200 used book just seems asinine to me, but what else?
Yeah. Especially, I mean, the professors are not changing the curriculum, though that their syllabi has been the same, I'm sure, year after year after year.
I guess if you had a professor on the show, they'd probably sing a different tune.
It would be interesting to know how that has evolved over time. In terms of cars, is it easier to work on cars now? More difficult to work on cars?
1,000 times more difficult. Yeah.
Why?
more complex, more electrical. So, let's take, for instance, last week, I gave a couple talks to the Votex kids over in Chesapeake. I did a morning class, an afternoon class, and just kind of told them about the industry and answered a bunch of questions. And I ask the same question all the time. What's the hardest part about what you're learning? And they always say electrical. So they have difficulty with that and engine performance. So electrical's more and more on cars, not less. So when we ask technicians to find issues and with electrical or engine performance, it's a challenge. They have to be trained up for it for sure.
Did they mention, is there a higher population of the students that are pursuing automotive or trades?
No, we have been in a crisis for 30 plus years. So I think we're short automotive technicians across the country. I think 750,000, somewhere around that. And I'm a product of the 80s. So anybody that was around that time and into the 90s and probably 2000s, if you talk to anybody, if you don't go to college, you can't have a good job. And then everybody went to college, and then they came out and a certain percentage went to work at Starbucks or whatever, unless, they had a certain degree that they went into. Whereas they had this huge opportunity to go into the trades. So therefore, technicians, plumbers, electricians, easily can make six figures, easily, and no student debt.
Why do you think there's such a deficit for that? Specifically in cars, because I feel like when I loved cars the most were those kind of like 15, 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old days where I was like, oh man, these things are awesome. Yes, maybe it was because the internet was just coming out and there was the kiosk on the side of the road where I could go and sift through like used cars, which was, the way that you could do it, and you could see different pictures that way. But I loved it. And then you'd go to car shows and see stuff like that. Like, I feel like those are the prime years for, an adolescent to be excited about that, to then not go in and work on those things. It seems counterintuitive. What are your insights on that?
Well, there's a few different types of kids out there. There's the kids that you just described that love cars, love working on their cars, worked on the car with their dad or uncle or whatever, and they're mechanically inclined. And yes, they go down that route. That's not the majority. And then there's, kids that, love cars, but, maybe they just want to play around with them on the weekends or do the tuner thing or something like that. And they have another career path in mind, whether that's military or being a doctor or lawyer or wherever that looks like. And then there are kids that don't want to have anything to do with trades. It's not their thing. They're not mechanically inclined. Their brain doesn't work that way. But to your first question on why do we have more, I think it was based on society, and going into automotive repair is not necessarily sexy. So
it's a dirty job.
Yeah, it's a dirty job. And I don't think a lot of people in the industry did it any justice by not elevating their shop or their business or their look or their professionalism. So that didn't help along the way. It's one thing I'm writing a book about currently to try and help change that. If anybody reads this book when I'm done, I think I heard that the average person that writes a book only sells either 50 or 100 or something like that. So I hope I sell more than 100.
So I know the numbers because I've written too. And my publisher gave me this number. Okay, so it's of books that are bought, only 30% are opened, and they only read 30% of what was opened. And I think the number is like 100 books that are actually overall. No, that's
so if I sell 101, I'm beating the average.
Exactly. So go, your goal is 101, just like Dalmatians, sell those in books and you'll be good. So there are 16 houses on my street. 2 of the kids that live in these houses, both are working on cars constantly. And I know it because I hear it. And so one of them is a Honda Civic. So he's created that car. And the other is, it's gone anywhere from a Corvette to is it a Miata? The convertible Miatas.
Yeah.
I know the Miata races them.
Yeah. They like going to drift those. They're an excellent drifting car. So
yeah, I've seen the marks in the cul-de-sac.
Mm-hmm. He was practicing. So,
yeah, I'm like
driving his neighbors nuts. So
Well,
Yes,
the thing
exactly.
that's totally ridiculous to me is the kids that are putting all the camber in these cars, and they're like, man, they're angled out. There's like that much tire surface area on the road. You ever see those, Zach?
oh,
Where
I
they
have no idea what
angle
you're
the
talking about.
wheel to the point where like they're, man, they barely fit in the fender, underneath the fenders, but they're so angled that they don't run flat on the road. They just, I just can't
Weird.
even imagine how you can't get any tire life out of those things. Not to mention traction. I don't know. It's silly.
they're doing it for show. They don't pass
Yeah.
inspection. They're buying stickers or don't have a sticker at all. But every generation has their thing.
Oh,
So
for sure. For sure.
But
I'll
yeah,
get a
back in the
picture.
day, they had the hydraulics. That was the thing.
yes.
That was fun.
In the rap videos, when
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
yeah.
Slope
Oh
and
my gosh.
yeah.
That was fun.
That's cool. So what got you into European cars specifically? Because you've lived here your whole life. You lived in Virginia Beach your whole life. I don't know what the breakdown of vehicles is here, but what got you into the European lifestyle?
Actually, opportunity got me into European cars. So I had a different shop, and I only specialized in Asian domestic at that shop. But I was leasing that shop, and my final 5-year lease was coming up. And being an entrepreneur, a smart business person, I'm like, hey, I should probably get control of the land or something so that I don't get kicked out 5 years from now, since that's all I have on my lease. So I started looking, and the owner of European Auto Works was ready to retire. So he owned the shop, he owned the land. The opportunity was there. The timing was perfect. We worked a deal, and I was able to buy that, I guess, what was that, 7 years ago, I believe.
Wow. I mean, finding a solid, reputable person to work on your car is so important. Is that some of the people, like some of the topics that you work with when you're mentoring these young business owners or aspiring business owners? Do you talk about that stuff? Do you talk about like the lifetime value of customers, that type of thing? You're teaching them, and what does that look like?
Well, we definitely talk about lifetime value of a customer, because it costs so much to get a customer when you look at marketing. As far as them appreciating that aspect, you got to remember, a lot of business owners are very proud of what they do, and they've put in a lot of work to do a really good job. So I think they don't think about that as much, because they're the ones I work with. Um, they value their service, they give a good warranty, they're honest, they're reputable. So that kind of doesn't come into the equation. If they weren't like that, I would never work with them anyway. And for anybody listening, that's when I'm doing my coaching and coaching business owners, which I do also.
We'll get into all of that. Okay, so you're 22 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You'd been in the mechanic world for how long at that point?
For 6 years.
And you take over, and you're the youngest AMOCO dealer at
Yeah,
the time, at all time in the area. Like what? Like
I was the youngest
world
AMOCO
record?
dealer in the United States of America. So at age 22, I bought an AMOCO station, gas station.
And did it also have a shop in it?
It did. It was full service. So we had pumps and we had service space. And I had worked at that shop since I was 16.
Do they still have those type of shops? Not necessarily AMOCO, but like gas station plus service centers?
They do. Yep, they do.
Okay.
All over the country. BP bought AMOCO 8 years later, and BP's vision was not full service. So any leases that were coming up, they were not going to renew those leases if it was a full service station, because they wanted either pumpers or food shops or something like that. So that's one of the reasons why I had converted from gas to strictly automotive repair.
You got it. Okay, so you're 22. How does that deal go down to be able to acquire a shop at that young age? How'd you have the money? How'd you have the wherewithal to ask? How did the opportunity come up? All that kind of stuff.
Sure. Well, I was always good at saving money. I was pretty good at making money, I believe. I bought my first house when I was 18, And that's the good old days when you could assume mortgages. So therefore, I didn't have to qualify. That's the only reason I was able to buy the house. So I had good credit. The gentleman that I worked for that was selling the business was taking a note. So therefore, I was paying him a certain percentage. And then I had private equity. So someone that believed in me. And then I had my own money I'd saved up. So a combination of those three allowed me to purchase the business as long as AMOCO approved me. So I had to fill out a stack an inch thick of paperwork and business plans and all this other stuff, turn that in. And then the big wigs from AMOCO, I believe Chicago and Northern Virginia, sorry about the dogs in the background. They came down, interviewed me, and I didn't know if they were going to approve me or not, this young kid. But I guess I talked a good game because they approved me. And then I got into the business and paid every dollar back plus interest.
Wow.
There you go. It's the time of the episode where something crazy happens, right? Where it's either a lawnmower and the person yelling at the lawnmower guy to turn it off. A dog gets crazy because he hears the mailman or Amazon coming with something. Who knows? But I'm
That's
here
right.
for it.
I say nothing. I say nothing at this point because all is quiet in my hood.
Oh yes, it could be planes moving, around. We live in an area where there's a lot of jets. So how did you learn soft skills? Because even now, there's a gentleman in Virginia Beach, Danny Rubin. He's on a mission to teach soft skills to the younger generation because it's not something that they do so well. It sounds like your communication skill, and soft skills are really just communication. It sounds like your communication skills way back when at the age of 22 were strong enough to allow a juggernaut at the time with AMOCO to say like, okay, this is a risk that we're willing to take and he's going to do a good job. Like you don't think of mechanics to be great, slick talkers in that kind of way. How did you start learning how to process and learn and communicate so well with people?
That's an interesting question. So I think we're lucky enough in Virginia Beach to have a school system that's awesome. Also, I was going to the old donation before the new one. This is when it was in an old building. And I went one day a week. And, they tested me in elementary school to be able to go there. I learned a lot there. I'm not sure how this is going to come across, but I teach my manager at my shop that when we're training employees that you can't train IQ, but you can train systems and stuff like that. So people are born with certain skills and you just try and work with those skills the best you can. Just like I had said, you can't, train someone that's not mechanically inclined to do that in the most of the time. So I guess soft skills just came naturally to me.
How does that work in terms of, you own a shop, you may have the best mechanic ever. They just are magical with what they're able to do. But in terms of communication style, not really strong at all. So when it comes to talking to the customer or the client in terms of, hey, this is the diagnosis of what we're doing, do you turn that over to the shop owner that has those communication skills, or do you teach those skills to the mechanic? How do you guide someone through that?
Are you asking whether the technician is talking to customers?
Yeah.
Okay, very rarely is our technicians talking to customers. We have service.
Really?
Yeah, we have service advisors for that. So the technician makes money. This is a business entrepreneur show. So if we're talking about making money, I'm making money. Shops are making money if technicians are working on cars. They're not making money if they're talking to customers. So therefore, the technician has a work order. Check out this. They check that out. They write up, this is what it needs. We do a courtesy inspection. By the way, you might need these other things that are safety related or maintenance related or repair related. That all goes up to a service advisor. Service advisor then works up the estimate. And then we also have a parts advisor. So the estimate goes to the parts guy. Parts guy finds all the parts, goes back to the service advisor. And then the service advisor communicates with the customer. So when I'm hiring service advisors, the number one skill I'm looking for is personality and sales. They do not have to be technical. I can teach that part as far as learning the systems of a car, why a car needs something, being able to communicate what a car needs in layman's terms so anyone can understand it. Some people understand car, systems, some people don't. And we want to make sure we explain it thoroughly so they understand what we're doing, why we're doing it, why they're spending this money, and so on.
Got it. I guess I was under the impression that a small shop that's getting started may not have the luxury of having a service advisor, and they're a one-person show or a two-person show spinning lots of plates at the same time.
Well, you're 100% correct. There are shops out there that are small that don't have service advisors. They're missing the boat if they don't have a service advisor, because that's the number one way you can increase efficiency, productivity, and scale is having, a full-time service advisor. In the case where you don't have a service advisor, sure, the owner or technician might be talking to the customer, and they might be really good at that, or they might be really bad at that. In my 30 plus years of doing this, I've had a few technicians where I would put them hopefully in the very back corner and never let them talk to anyone ever. Not in a million years would I want them talking to a customer, because who knows what would come out of their mouth. So.
But I think that's leadership 101. So like in software world, you have and maybe even hardware kind of companies too. Like you have these companies that the technical person is the person that is communicating to the public, to the customers, et cetera. In your world, you recognize that. And it's like, hey, like this person to articulate this thing for the person to understand at a third grade level is going to take 27 minutes for that person to regurgitate that out. When your person, a service, I can't remember the word you used. That advisor can just say that in 3 seconds. And it comes out, and it's like not a lot of people are willing to do that. So I appreciate that. When you are interviewing these what was it? Service professionals? Service advisors. When you're interviewing those people, I know you talked about finding sales and communication skills. Like what are the questions? What are the assets that are making you decide like, okay, that person has it or doesn't have it?
They have to have good communication skills. So I can tell that, just by having conversations with them. They have to have good phone skills. They have to be organized. They have to buy into our values. They have to believe in what they're doing. They can't be someone that is just there during a paycheck. They can't be someone that is just out for themselves and not the entire team, because our entire team has to work together. If the service advisor is not good at what they do, the technicians suffer. If the technicians aren't good at what they do, the service advisors suffer. If I'm not good at what I do, everyone suffers. So.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know. It's just interesting to me. I'm just thinking about it in the sense of, it's the same holds very true in the startups that Zach and I work with a lot. And going back to the previous question, sometimes the face of the company shouldn't necessarily be the face of the company. And you got to find a different spokesperson to be the one pitching that business, because they just don't have that ability.
Sure. And I guess it depends on the business or the person, because if it's a startup and they're truly passionate about their startup and what they're doing and what they're building, then sometimes they are the best spokesperson, because they know it backwards and forwards. But say they're very techie, maybe they do really well writing code and stuff like that, and someone else would be better as the person out front.
We live in a world now where I don't know what the percentages, but it seems like a lot more electric vehicles, EVs are on the road. What are your just general thoughts on the EV world? And is that something that you're threatened by, you jump on board with, you figure out how to embrace that? Like what's the EV world 101 from a European shop owner?
Yeah, there are a lot of moving parts for that. If we go back to just changes in the industry, there's always been shops, technicians, they're fearful of change. And this goes way back. So when disc brakes were invented, technicians were like, oh my gosh, we're never going to be able to service these things. They're all going to go to the dealer. And then fuel injection came, and then direct fuel injection, gasoline direct injection, GDI. all this, anti-lock brakes, ADAS, which is your safety systems for accident avoidance stuff, all these things. And so electric is just part of the show. It's the future. It's not going away. We have something called CAFE standards. CAFE standards is a worldwide thing whereby, a certain year you have to have certain fuel mileage standards, with different, I'm not getting political, I'm just saying with different administrations, they keep coming in and out of this thing, but
Sure.
long term, it's not going away. Electric vehicles is part of this. Automotive technicians, owners should not be scared of all electric. You should train up, you should service them, you should be part of it, because all these vehicles still have tires and suspension and brakes and air conditioning and electrical and batteries and doors and headliners and heat and you name it, power windows, all these ADAS up the yin yang. So yeah, there's a huge opportunity for it. So, anybody listening to this in this market should embrace it, train up, and get involved.
I appreciate that. It makes total sense.
Did you learn that somewhere? Because I think that's really good. Like, there's a lot of people who don't embrace change. And I think it's just, you don't hear it very often. So like, where did that become the norm for you?
Automotive is where it became the norm, because I learned really early on that if you're going to be in the industry I'm in, you have to enjoy and be okay with change, because everything I did from the 90s is so much different now. All the tooling is different. All the scan tools are different. All the software, all the capabilities, all the systems. I mean, it changed year by year by year. So I always embrace change. And so I just took that same attitude and knew that I had to change not only how we worked on cars, but how I ran a business, how we marketed, how, what worked 20 years ago doesn't work now. Google AdWords wasn't even around 20 years ago or 25 years ago. So.
Yeah, it's, yeah, again, I appreciate it. I mean, it's just, as we've talked, Zach and I, several times on the show before, I drive a Tesla, and it was just like, I met a lot of, when I first got that, it was amazing. Some people like, no, we don't touch it. Well,
Yeah,
like for a state inspection, it was like, nope, we won't touch it.
We actually work on Tesla because there was a need. So Tesla does have a service facility here in Tidewater, and they were being overwhelmed. At least I believe they were. They did not have enough people or space or something to work on all the cars. So, we started bringing on Tesla, and no, that's not European, but there's a market there. And so we service Tesla. And it's been great. We love it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, if anything, to your point, man, you're going to go through tires a lot faster. I mean, like they grip and they go, and you tend to go through tires a little bit quicker. So,
anybody that has not driven an all-electric vehicle will be shocked when they mash the gas pedal. Nothing ramps up faster than an electric motor. So.
Oh yeah, it's wild. It's a lot of fun.
And back to your question, I did want to say one other thing. You had a question about technicians talking to customers, and I was explaining how, from a business point of view and profit point of view, you want them working on cars. I did want to say that if customers have technical questions that or want to see something, and the service advisor can't answer that, we bring cars to the shop, or we bring the technician to the customer, and they can have that conversation. So it's not like it could never happen. The good news about a shop like mine, even though we're 10,000 square foot, it's a pretty large building. We work on a lot of cars. It's not so huge that, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. So some of your larger dealerships, sometimes that's a little more difficult. The, place is so much bigger. I'm not sure how quickly a customer could start talking with a technician if the place is too large.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I mean, like there was a question to Elon a couple weeks ago on Rogan asked a question and was like, "Hey, are you going to, come out with like an AMG type version of some of your models?" And Elon was like, "No, we're going to leave that to the aftermarket places to do that stuff. So to your point, that's another opportunity if you want to do some aftermarket stuff to make it a little sportier or whatever the case is, that's another opportunity there as well.
And I assume he's saying that because he understands where his growth is and how he can scale and systemize. And you
Yeah.
can't scale and systemize these one-offs.
Right.
There would probably be a lot more headaches involved. There'd be a lot more warranty issues involved. And if we're being serious with Musk, everything he's doing is to get us or him to Mars. So all
Oh, for sure.
electric, his rocket ships, his boring company, which I drove
Yep.
through when I was in Vegas earlier this month. All that is, to get to Mars.
Yep.
So I don't think an AMG version of Tesla is going to get him to Mars. So that's
Exactly.
probably why he's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
interested in it.
Yeah. But that's opportunity for those that embrace the change. So
Definitely.
Speaking of change, I don't think one would immediately think that AI is in the automotive industry. What are your general thoughts on that? And is AI going to overtake, or has it no place? Like what is AI in your world?
AI has a place probably in every single business. And for instance, from a business owning point of view, when you're creating systems, you can't create a system quicker than ChatGPT can create the system for you. I sometimes will draw out something on a piece of paper of a system I'm creating that I want to teach or learn or have my employees do. And I take a picture of a piece of paper, upload it into ChatGPT and ask it to create the system, and it does it. It has answering services, as agents, all that. We also have databases that we use, things we use for our shop and business that AI can go and scrub. So our technicians or employees can go ask it a question, and we tell a certain custom GPT where to go get the information, and then it pulls it quickly, much quicker than someone can go and try and find it.
Right.
When I was teaching that, or not teaching, but giving the talk to the class in Chesapeake last week, I asked the kids, can AI replace a toilet? And they all said, nope. And can AI replace a water pump on a car? Nope. So, you can feel that there's an opportunity in service-based businesses where AI is not going to take over. So there's a huge opportunity for people to be in this industry, to grow this industry, to be successful business owners or technicians in service-based industries, that AI is not going to take their job over, at least in the next, let's say, 20 years, maybe, unless they do something amazing with robots. And I saw a demonstration on the latest robots about 2 months ago, and they're not even close. So
it is interesting, though, that you can take a picture of a water pump and say, hey, walk me through how to replace this thing. I mean,
correct. So if you're coming from an efficiency standpoint,
yeah,
in a shop, and I was talking about this with the kids the other day. I said, could you use AI to give you the most efficient way to replace a water pump? And could you use AI to give you all the torque specs and the wiring diagrams? And so, I talked about electrical earlier, and anybody that works on cars and looks at wiring diagrams from Asian domestic versus European, it is like hieroglyphics sometimes. European wiring diagrams are extremely complicated, and it's a whole different, learning process to know those. And so AI could help someone learn those diagrams much easier, or decipher the diagram. So if, a technician was working on a certain system, upload that diagram into, a GPT or something like that, it could ask it questions to help assist, finding out what's wrong with that particular system.
Yeah, again, I mean, I think the theme of this episode is embracing the change, and I think that the biggest part with the AI aspect is retraining your brain on how to think about things differently, and the way that you explained how mechanics can use AI. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, my gosh, even if it's something as simple as run a script of and automate emails out to someone to let them know that it's time to rotate their tires, based on what the mileage was in when they changed it, to average person drives 12 to 15,000 miles a year. I mean, just something, I mean, that can be an easily automated process.
For sure. And for your listeners, I mean, if they're business owners or starting off, or if they're not using AI, I encourage them to start. I encourage them to use a paid version. Just start with ChatGPT or Claude. I use Grok, ChatGPT, Claude, all paid versions. It's not expensive. I mean, we're talking $20 a month or something.
And if you save 15 minutes, it's paid for itself.
Oh my gosh. And I save a lot more than that. So if you're a young business owner, or you're a business out there in Hampton Roads that is not using systems and processes to help make your business run easier, to help train people easier, to help scale easier, you're really missing the boat, because you can have, some type of template that you want your process or system or playbook, whatever you want to call it, to look like, and then upload the idea and it will fill out the whole thing. And sometimes it will do it in approximately 15 to 20 seconds.
And that's better quality time that the service advisor can spend with the customers and clients, and establish those relationships, or whatever the case is. Prevents you from having to hire additional headcount.
And on top of that, keeping people accountable, and especially training. So, I mean, everybody knows you're always going to be hiring, and people are leaving. We're a very transient area with the military. So if you want to be able to train people easier, this is how all the big companies are doing it. I mean, they're not doing one-offs to train people.
When you're talking to your coaching clients, is there a percentage of them that are apprehensive to using tools like this, or are they all in it to win it and they are paying you to trust you? Like, what is there anything like that?
So there's a saying, when you pay attention. So my coaching clients pay me. So when I say things, they pay attention and they embrace it. So in the year 2025, if I had a coaching client that was not willing to go in with technology on something, we meet online on Google Meet, so they obviously have to use a computer and something like that. But I don't have any clients that are not using some type of technology. They're just not using it to its full capacity. And they don't have to, but they need to maybe step it up a notch.
Okay, this is interesting. So, I feel like I've had this conversation with many service providers as well. They're really good at their skill set, like damn good at their skill set, but they suck at the business side. And some of them, sounds like your clients, are willing to embrace that struggle that they have to try to get better in this. When you're like, is your client the one that, are you trying to educate and convince someone to go there? Or is it someone that has already embraced, like, okay, I realize I'm good. I'm here. I'm making $1 million a year, but I feel like I could be making $3 million. Like, who's your target customer in that world? Is it someone that's, just tell me who your target customer is before I try to articulate too much myself.
Well, my target client is someone who feels stuck, that they know they can do more, but they don't know how to get there. What you described is classic from the book, The E-Myths. For anybody that's read it, I think that's the very first book any entrepreneur should read. It's, you're good at a certain skill, so you decide to start a business. And so that, maybe you run on word of mouth. Maybe you are only operating with yourself and one other person, whatever that looks like. But then as soon as you try and start to scale and make any real money, the first hurdle is $1 million, the second hurdle is 3 million, and then it goes up from there. You really have to have some business skills to go along with that. You can't just rest on that you were good at a certain skill, whatever that skill looks like, whether you're a plumber, electrician, or whatever. So every business has marketing, sales, production, and delivery. So I usually go in, we look at the business, I look at numbers, I look at how they, the whole process, and we use the theory of constraints. Most people are failing at marketing. And then next they're failing at sales, but they're usually pretty good at production because that's how they got into the business. So if they're a plumber, okay, they're usually good at plumbing. If they were an automotive technician, they're usually pretty good at fixing cars. What happens after we work on marketing and sales, if that's the issue, we then work on efficiency. So therefore, their plumbing is more efficient. Their automotive repair is more efficient, so they can move more vehicles or more jobs.
Knowing that marketing is the number one thing that you found that your clients and others are struggling with, the number one thing, what are some of the tools? What are some of the ways that you help them improve that?
Number one, we create a marketing plan. We see what's working, what's not working, and then we see where their target market is. So we might work through, hey, who is your avatar? And avatar being, your perfect client. And maybe we figure out that your perfect client is actually on Instagram and they're doing nothing on Instagram. Or maybe, for instance, if you have a cleaning service, so a house cleaning service, maybe the most efficient way to get leads is through a postcard campaign. But the business owner might think, oh, I only need to send one postcard. No, you need to send probably 6 postcards or 10 postcards, and because you have to hit that mailbox numerous times before someone makes a decision. So we go through all that and create a marketing plan and marketing budget, and then we move on from there.
Directly with the postcard aspect of it, I interviewed Michael Wagner, formerly of Pool Scouts, which is part of the bus franchise brands aspect of it. One of their big aspects of marketing is exactly that mailer. And it is, at least at the time when I interviewed them 8 years ago, it was 6 touch points minimum for that mailer, very specific call to actions. And so to your point, anyone that sends out a mailer one time, and they're like, well, I did the action, it didn't create the result. It's like, no. This takes a long time. You're thinking that you only have to do something once and it's going to work. And I just think that's bad marketing 101. And so I'm glad you said 6 to 10. It would be interesting to see what that is in today's world. So I wrote a marketing book a long time ago. And an interesting stat in that is, and I'm going to ask you it, how many advertisements do you think you see a day?
We're talking online and in mail and driving down the road?
In general, how many advertisements do you think you see a day?
My first thought was 100, but then I started to think it was probably in the thousands.
Okay, so the only data point I've ever been able to find on this was from 2013.
Okay.
So think about that. And the number is 5,000 advertisements a day. That's 35,000 a week. So that means you're not competing against the other shop across the street. You're competing against 4,999 others. And that's 12-year-old data. So it's 1 versus 499. And it's just crazy because we just get in our heads like, oh, okay, like I just got to compete, I'm McDonald's, I got to beat Burger King, when it's like, no. You got to get the attention of that person. And so you send that mailer once, it ain't going to work.
Correct. And if you send a mailer once, you might as well just take all the money you spent on the mailer and throw in the trash cans. Your return rate would be like 0.001%. So
you're saying just go to Rivers and bet it all on black is what you're telling me?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can't even remember what I opened up my phone for that I was going to do once I opened up my phone from 1 second to the next, let alone all the different ads that are flashing across our eyeballs on a minute-to-minute basis.
Yeah,
that doesn't happen to you, Zach? I pick up the phone. I'm like, what was I going to do?
That's called old age.
Okay, so yes, that's exactly it. Okay, so I'm 41. I question, is that me losing it? Am I old? Like, do other people have that? Do the young folk have that? Like, they got to. Like the other day, I was like,
the young folk, it's ADD. For us, it's old age.
Is it just ADD? Okay, see, I'm okay. I'm gonna call it ADD from now on. I appreciate that, Eric. Like, I'm doing just fine. I'm fine.
There's medication for it.
Okay, maybe I'll look it up. What got you into coaching? Like, you have a pretty successful brick and mortar shop. It seems to be doing well.
Yeah.
But then you get into coaching. What made you want to do that?
Well, I feel like I always coached because I gave back to my industry forever. So even in my 20s, I was always helping others because there was enough business to go around. And the world's a mirror. So what you see, what you give, you get back. And uh, over the last couple of years, I said, I should probably monetize this. And when I did that, it just opened up a whole new angle as far as people leaning in. When I said before that, if they pay attention, there's something to that. I kind of equate it to having a personal trainer. So if you have a friend that you're meeting at the gym and you're supposed to meet him at 5:30 in the morning and you don't show up one day, it's kind of no big deal. You're not paying the guy and you just call him later. Hey, sorry, I didn't show up. But if you're paying a trainer a certain amount of money and you have an appointment at 5:30, you're more likely to show up for the money aspect and because you gave your word that you would be there. So it's kind of the same thing with the trading. Um, I do it for the joy of it. I do it to give back. I do it to help entrepreneurs make more money, have more life, have more time. If I was helping one client, and one of the very first things we did was put together a plan so that within 30 days, his wife could get the heck out of that shop and go do something she enjoyed because she hated working there. And they cannot thank me enough for bringing that to their attention and helping them work a plan to get the wife out to do something she actually enjoyed doing, not working in an automotive shop. So that was a fun story.
Well, and it's amazing though how you can just break that down. It's like, all right, what is the number? What do we got to hit total? And then the average transaction cost per customer that comes in. And then if all right, if we just gain 5 customers a month, that's going to be it. And then all of a sudden it doesn't become a bridge too far. And it's just being able to work with people and breaking it down into those aspects is
And you work
huge.
the numbers backwards, right?
Right.
So we do that all the time, and it's so much easier. We work numbers backwards for sales, for leads. We work the numbers backwards for pay scales. So when I'm helping shop owners create pay scales for technicians or service advisors, hey, where do we want to be? What's that look like? What's the profit look like? What would you pay for that? And then, okay, let's put that metric in there and then boom, work that backwards. And then you can present that to the employee and say, okay, if you do this, this, and this is what you're going to make at the end of the year.
And then that's exactly, we talk about it a lot, like in terms of like, oh my gosh, it's so expensive for a Super Bowl ad. And it's just like they know the numbers. If they convert X number of people that watch that Super Bowl ad, that just paid for itself and then some, so it's just breaking it down to the numbers.
And Zach, being you're talking about marketing and writing a book about marketing, all about touch points. It's not one touch point. If you ask, one of your customers, hey, how did you hear about me? They might not even remember how they heard about you because they might have had 8 touch points over the last, month or two. And then all of a sudden their friend said something also, or they saw an ad, or they saw a postcard, or they saw a Google service ad or local service ad, or your signage going down the road, or, a license plate frame that said European Auto Works.
Funny you say that because I have something in the book called the license plate method, which is exactly what that is for you guys, but everywhere else. So I
didn't even know that that you had that in the book.
Well, see, now you're gonna have to get a copy.
I will.
Open your
now you'll
mailbox,
sell 102.
102. I sold a couple more than 102. Okay. You're gonna open your mailbox and So anyway, no, it's. I am a big fan of just like dissecting what other brands are doing and figuring out, okay, why did that work? Is that something that I could do for my own brand or the companies that I'm working with? And being like, okay, like what is that really at its core? And I think so many people are trying to find this bright, shiny new object when it's like, okay, like it's really probably right in front of you, and you probably watch it every night when you're on Netflix for 3.5 hours. So just do that thing.
Yeah. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are some there's some core marketing strategies out there that, are universal across, whatever industry you happen to be in. But then you can take a certain part of your marketing budget and then try new things and see what works. You don't have to be one size fits all.
What's something you want to talk about that we haven't talked about?
Well, I think one of the biggest issues in service-based industries is creating career paths for employees. So a lot of times in these service-based industries, and you go talk to an employee that works for that, company and say, hey, what do you have to do to be able to make more money or move up the ladder or something like that? And they would look at you cross-eyed because they would have no idea. So I think that's something that's missing in the industries, is creating career paths for employees in these service-based industries, so they know what they need to do, where they need to train, to be able to either make more money, become a different. In automotive, we have A, B, and C technicians. You can move up that path. You can become a foreman. You can become a manager. You can, become an owner if you want.
Yeah, that I know, really kind of going to the story that you had about the shop, getting the wife out of the shop, identifying those things, and you have to identify it and have a path moving forward in order to do that. If not, then you're just going to be stuck, and you're never going to get out of it.
Yeah, 100%. If anybody wants to learn more, they can go to my website, gofuelcoaching.com. They can send me, the booking link. Just click on there and we can get on a chat, see if I can help. Bring your biggest problem. That's why I like when people get on a call with me and I ask them, please bring your biggest problem. Let's work through that. Let's see if I can't, bring some value to this call. And, that's free. So.
Yeah, I'm with you. And especially when you have someone who's coachable and that listens, and then you can see that end result, that is super rewarding.
Most of my clients really lean in. They bring passion. They do the work. The next week when we get on a call, they tell me, okay, I did this, this, and this is what happened. And we work through that. We have long-term strategies. We have short-term strategies. We have sales strategies, marketing strategies. But then, every so often you get a client where it's a struggle bus, and they're not bringing anything to the table. It feels like I'm doing all the work. And those are the ones that I kind of say, okay, I think I've done as much as I can here, and try and bring in a new client that is, has a little more energy.
Yeah, that is one of the big first lessons learned, and that's part of like the onboarding process. It's like, and I'm very clear with founders, I cannot want this more than you. And,
Correct.
And man, it was a hard lesson to learn.
Yes.
Because you could see the pathway, and this is like, follow the path, but I cannot want it more than you.
Yeah. I mean, they're in it every single day, so they don't see what I see. So
Yeah.
When they explain or describe what's going on in the business, I see it from a different point of view than them, with a lot of clarity.
Yeah. You're a Virginia Beach native. What is the food of the region? As we end every pod with this, what is, from a marketing standpoint, how do we need to, is there a food that we need to market Hampton Roads?
I love Dave's barbecue. Have you had it?
No.
Down on Alaskan?
Yep. I got a Dave shirt. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Very good.
It's so good. I mean, I'm not sure if it's good for my waistline.
Is that a local hang?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, when you go in and get a barbecue sandwich, I mean, the guy's big, okay, and he has big hands, so he is going in and grabbing, the barbecue and putting it on the bun, and it looks like it's a pound and a quarter of meat that he's putting on the bun. It's, oh my gosh, it's so good.
No, barbecue is very good for you.
Yeah.
There's worse things for sure.
There are worse things.
It's the sides that can get you.
Yeah.
But Dave's barbecue, no, it's very good.
Well, We have a
We'll
great
have to go.
food scene in Hampton Roads. I mean, and establishments that have been around a long time and very consistent. I mean, for instance, Aldo's has done a great job for, I don't know how many years they've been there, but very consistent. The staff is always polite. The food is always delicious.
Yeah, we're lucky to have such a great food scene here, and it's so diverse in cultures and all that. And yeah, Dave's Barbecue, that makes me hungry. So
Same.
I might take a drive down there today. Who knows? Eric, we appreciate this conversation. It's been lovely getting to know you, and we look forward to many more down the line.
Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, thanks so
Absolutely.
much.